Kammi Kurtz is a standout for Liberty's cross-country team, even earning Big South honors this past fall. She may make it look easy now, but there was a time in high school when it looked like none of this would ever be possible.
I was on the varsity soccer team. I had a great season, and then I started training for indoor track, and I just wasn't feeling right. I was getting really tired. I wasn't recovering from any of my runs. I remember the first meet that we had, I ran, and the coach was like, "Kammi, you ran the slowest leg in the 4x4. And I was like, "I'm sorry, I don't know what's wrong with me. I feel so terrible, my legs hurt." I was like, "I just don't know what to do." Things were kind of just getting worse, and I had lost a bunch of weight. That was probably the main thing, is I had lost at least 20 pounds. So at that point, I mean, I'm not big to begin with, and so at this point I was about 90 pounds, and that was devastating because I was a walking skeleton pretty much.
Kammi went to the doctors, and took several tests and a lot of inconclusive results, for one lab finally provided some answers as to why a healthy teenage girl was suddenly experiencing life-threatening symptoms.
We had gotten some labs done, and we got the labs back, and I got a call when I was at school, and they were like, "You need to come home right away. You have to be admitted to the hospital because you're super anemic." I had about half the blood that you're supposed to in your body, so I was barely making it at this point. They questioned my parents as if I was anorexic. So they were like, "Is she eating?" My dad's like, "You don't understand, this girl is eating." My dad was making me 1,000-calorie breakfasts, making my lunches every day, trying to do all the little things that he could do to help me to get back to where I needed to be, but none of it was working.
The doctors warned that if she didn't gain more weight, she would have to stop playing sports. After adjusting her eating habits to a high-calorie diet and taking some medication, Kammi finally began to see improvement. Though it took several months, Kammi's dedication to her health eventually allowed her to get back to doing what she loves.
I started doing really well in the indoor season, and the coach was like, "Kammi, you should run cross country." And I was like, "Nope, not a chance." I was like, "I'll run the mile and 2 mile in track, but I'm not running cross country." My coach for cross country was like, "Kammi, do you realize that if you stopped playing soccer and you actually focused on cross country, you would be pretty good?" And I was like, "Yeah, you keep telling me this, and I don't really see that in my future." And he was like, "Well, if you find a college that you like, and they have a running program, and he's like, and you're interested in it, he's like, I will say something to the coach." At this time, I was looking at colleges because it was my senior year, and my brother came to Liberty. So I knew about Liberty, and I knew they had a running program, and I didn't really know much else about it.
After talking with one of the Liberty track coaches, she was given a chance to prove herself. She would PR in every race she ran in cross country in the fall. But then another setback. A foot injury in the spring forced her to sit out the rest of the year.
So come around the second water jump, and I landed, and I just felt this shooting pain go up my leg. Little did I know that I actually broke my heel. I was out the whole rest of the track season. When it first happened, I felt so much peace about it. I can't even explain it. It happened, and I was like, I think I broke my foot. And I was like, and I'm actually totally okay with it. God really, he just placed it in me hey, this is still part of my plan for you. I've got you. So that summer, I went and cross-trained a ton. I was cross-trained 2 hours a day. I was on the bike, I was on the elliptical, I'd do swims, anything that could just keep my aerobic up on the days that I wasn't allowed to run.
But she wasn't off the track for long. After a summer of rehab and training, she came back with fire in her veins. She kept breaking her personal records and went on to win Big South honors in both 2016 and 2017 in both cross country and outdoor 10K.
God obviously had a plan for the whole thing. I think me going through what I had to go through and ultimately making me weaker to make me stronger in a different aspect of my life, I just had to do it. He just had to put me through it. Because I was weaker physically and my physical body, and I wasn't able to play soccer as well, I think that is the reason why I'm doing cross country and track. I've learned that it's through those times is when he's gonna make you stronger, even though in those times you feel weak and you feel vulnerable and you feel like you don't have anybody or anything. God's always there for you, and it's all part of his master plan to have you do something bigger in your life.